Hi all, welcome to the next lesson of the coronavirus revision with me, Mr. Bailey. Last few lessons we've been looking at place value, looking at where numbers lie in the number system, looking at how we order them and compare them, and also looking at how we round them. So quite a difficult lesson yesterday. I do think rounding is one of the more difficult parts of maths that we have to teach you, and it's because in order to be able to round you need to know those numbers inside out, know exactly where they lie in the number system, and lots of other things in order to be able to round accurately as well, especially when you've got such big numbers like six-digit numbers rounded to nearest hundreds and tens as well. Place value needs to be absolutely spot on for you to be able to do that. So should be a nice easier lesson today. So we're only looking at addition facts. So some of them you might find quite easy, but you'll be surprised about actually how difficult you find some of them as well. One example of this. One of the things that you learn early on, you start to learn reception, you learn in year 10, are your number 1 to 10. You have 10 fingers, so it should be quite simple. If you struggle with them, and if you're still struggling with them, then it's really, really important that you practice all the time, okay? So parents and carers, older brothers and sisters, younger brothers and sisters, test yourselves now. If you say any single digit number, what is its partner number that makes it add to 10? So for example, if I was to say the number 2, the opposite answer would be 8, and it's the reason because 2 add 8 equals 10. If I said the word 5, the answer would be, yeah, you're right, it's 5. If I said the answer 1, or the question 1, answer would be 9. Okay, number 1 to 10 should be quite simple, but it's a key skill that if we're not quite sure that we are confident with it yet, we must have it. Okay, so that's the very first basic one we're going to do. So number 1 to 10. So your activity now is to stop the video. You can either roll a dice, generate a random number to 10, or get somebody else to say a random number to you and try and say the partner answer. Okay, do that for a few minutes. If you're feeling confident, then move on. Okay, so pause the timer now. Okay, so hopefully you've just done that. Hopefully you found it quite simple. Okay, the next one is to do that again, but to make it slightly harder, not too much harder, but number 1s to 20. Okay. I know that 10 out of 10 is 20, therefore if I know my number 1s to 10, my number 1s to 20 should be quite simple. Okay, so therefore if I have the number 7, I know that 7 and 3 make 10, therefore if I want to do my number 1 to 20, 7 add what would make 20? Well, I'd have to add 10 on to make 17, and then a further 3 to make 20. But I know that my number 1s to 10, if I have a single number, then I'm going to have to have a 2-digit number as well in order to make my number 1s to 20, not 10. Excuse me for saying 10 earlier. Okay, so 7 and 13 makes 20. Okay, again, these should be quite simple. I'm not going to spend lots of time talking about it. What I'd like to do now is, again, with the same people that you were working with earlier, make up some 1-digit and 2-digit numbers. Obviously, it has to be less than 20. So 1-digit and teen numbers, and then try to figure out what the missing number is in order to make the number 20. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully even by now you've already done those. You pause the time if you needed to. If not, do so now. Which brings us on to our next part. Okay, I said this video isn't going to be very long. This is going to be the bit that might take a little bit longer. It's amazing that we get very able mathematicians that when I ask them to add 2 single-digit numbers together that bridge 10, they have to count on their fingers. So, for example, 7 add 8. 7 and 8, they would go. And then quite often they might get the question wrong. So especially when we move on to things like the column addition, any kind of mental maths that involves any kind of addition, it's really, really important that we know these off by heart. Okay? So the ones in particular are the ones that bridge 10. So usually the numbers that involve 6, 7, 8, 9, mixture of all of them together, and knowing that 2 odd numbers, if you add them together, will give you an odd number. 2 even numbers, if you add them together, will give you an even number. And an odd and an even number when added together would give you an odd number. So knowing these facts off by heart and not being able to if you're doing it in 3 or 4 seconds, you need to know it like this. If I was to say 7 add 8, you should know straight away 15. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, think of it as partitioning the number. I've got 8. How many do I need to get from 8 to get to 10? We've just done a number 1 to 10 earlier. I know it's 2. I can split my 7 mentally into 2 and into a 5. So in my head, I would change this up and I would change the order of the number sentence. So I'm doing 8, add 2 to make 10, and I'm still carrying over the 5 from the set that we've got left over from the 7 to make 15 mentally. Same as in this one. 6 add 9. What do I need to make 9 to get to 10? I need to add 1. Add 5, which again gives me 15. If I was to do 6 add 7, I'd 7, take 7, I'd partition my 6 into a 3 and a 3 to give me 13. All of this stuff should be basic stuff that we did when we were in year 1, year 2, year 3. And we should be able to add any single digit numbers together like this. A bit like when we learn our times tables, I say that if you're counting in your head, if you don't know them instant recall, then you do not know them. So now is your chance to practice these. Roll a dice, generate a number up to a single digit number, so between 1 and 9, add those 2 digit numbers together without using your hands. The more you do it, the easier it's going to get. The more it's going to be embedded, and the more you're going to be able to use those instant recall facts. Okay? And if you can do that, if you're finding that really, really easy, then try to do it so you've got 2 digit numbers. So it might be that you've got, I don't know, hopefully you can see the bottom of the board. I know you couldn't yesterday because the camera slipped. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can see it today. So for example, 17 add 18. Okay. First of all, I would know that 7 add 8 is 15. I'll then add 10 to make it 25, and add another 10 to make it 35. But you need to be able to do that mentally within the first 5-6 seconds. If you're taking any longer than that, it's because you're not quite secure with these addition bonds. And it's amazing, we get some very, very able mathematicians out there, people that you think, they know these easily. But actually, when I ask them a question such as 7 add 6, they kind of go and freeze, and they don't know how to solve it. Well, this is what I'd like you to practice now. So if you're struggling with these, try the single digits, add them together without using your fingers, try and do it mentally. And if you're finding it a little bit easier, try and challenge yourself a little bit with 2 digit numbers. Okay? So the next part of our mental addition skills is being able to know our number bonds to 100 and to 1000. So these are really, really important, and I would say probably about half the class usually get these wrong, which is quite surprising, especially when it's number bonds to 100. So if we look at 100, okay, it's similar to when we do our number bonds to 10. The bit that what people might get confused on is, for example, saying that if I had the number 64 add what gives you 100? I'm going to give you 5 seconds now to answer the question. Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So some of you might be looking now, going, "Oh, I can't do it," and panicking and thinking, "Oh, I can't do that in that short space of time." It's because you do not have these number facts embedded. That's why we have to practice over and over and over. A bit like times tables, as we said earlier. So a lot of people here would put the answer down as a 6, because 4 add 6 is 10, number 1 is 10, and then looking at 60. 60 to 100, 40. And can anyone see the mistake? Hopefully by now you're looking at it. Hopefully a lot of people are going, "No, challenge, Mr. Bailey, challenge." Because when we look at the numbers, actually if we do 6 add 4 is 10, 60 add 40 is 100, 100 add 10 gives you the answer of 110. The answer is in fact 36. And the reason being, hopefully you can all see the bottom of the screen and the phone hasn't slipped again, is if we've got a number line, we start from 64, we need to get to 100. First thing I want to do is add 6 to get to 70. Now I've got 70 to 100 is 30, 36. So mentally, add on to the next 10 and then add on to the 100. Okay, use those number bonds to the 100 as well. If you know your number bonds to 10, then that's going to help you with doing these, because I know that 70 to 100 is 30, because 7 add 3 is 10. All of these facts are related, they're linked. Okay? So what you can do now as a bit of a task is you can either roll a dice and generate a random 2-digit number, or you can go online and generate a random 2-digit number. What do you have to add to that number to get to 100? If you're not quite sure, solve it, ask your parents, carers, check it, or try to work it out and then check it out on the calculator if you need to as well. Okay? After that, there's one more task for you to do, and it's to do exactly the same, but it's number ones to 1,000. And exactly the same as before, it's using all of the facts that we know to try to then get to 1,000. And again, when we do this, lots of people get the answer, if they add it up, it comes back to 1,100 or even 1,110, because we're not quite secure on the bridging when we bridge over to the next number. So an example of this, and where a lot of the misconceptions come from, is if we had the number 364, for example. Add something equals 1,000. Okay? Lots of children would go, well, 4 add something, so I have to add 6 to there to get that, to make that to get 0. And then I have to add a 4 and a 7. Because they're trying to work out as if they were doing column addition, but inverted, or column subtraction. Again, in this, it's very, very difficult. The easiest thing to do, again, is just a very simple number line. And I believe that number lines are very underused in maths. And I feel like we need to be doing a lot more, because a number line is basically a written working out of how we would work it out mentally. And I never actually noticed this until I started teaching, but actually if you do any kind of addition mentally, you're doing it exactly like you would do on a number line. Okay, so the first part is you've got 4. My number 1 to 10 with 4 is obviously 6. That will take me to 370. What 10 do I have to add to get from 370 to my next 100? So hopefully all of you would tell me there it was 30. Gives me up to 400. And then to make one more jump to get from 400 to 1,000. Number ones between 4 and 10 is 6. So between 400 and 1,000 will be 600. My answer would be 636. And you can see here already we were 100 out and a 10 out. So if I would have added these two together, my answer would have been 1,110. So hopefully this gives you a few activities. There's lots of things that you can do from this revision lesson to challenge yourself. Please make sure you go and do something that challenges you. If you're finding it really easy, do the ones that we've just done here. If you want to challenge yourself even further, maybe try and generate a 5-digit number or a 6-digit number and go to the nearest 10,000 or 100,000 or even million. Whatever you feel challenges you, just a few questions just to see how you get on. Okay, that's all from me for today. I will be uploading a challenge question later, which has been a request from Mrs. Roberts. Apparently she's found it really, really exciting, really engaging to do at home. So I'll be uploading that in a sec. So by the time you upload this, hopefully you watch this, hopefully that will have been uploaded as well. So enjoy your weekends. Make sure you get lots of rest, lots of sleep, lots of hopefully exercise as well. Keep doing those online lessons from the Body Coach. Keep doing your spelling frame, keep reading, keep doing anything educational as well. But make sure you also have time to yourself, relax, have a bit of fun as well, because you know, we're not just looking for you to just learn the whole time from this. We don't know when this crisis is going to be over. Hopefully it'll be very, very soon. So you won't have to be watching me on YouTube. You can be watching me teach live, and we can get back on track with where we stopped our sequence of learning earlier on this week. So yeah, take care guys.